From Dandyland Studios, my name is Joey Helpish, and what the helpish is perfectionism? This is going to be a hard pill to swallow for some of you. It was a hard pill for me to swallow, and it still sometimes is. Let's first talk about what we're not really talking about, which is like the kind of perfectionism that is this Mac that I'm recording this with, or the medicine that I take. Like, those things are functionally perfect, and they're done through an iterative process. Okay? And when they are presented to the world, they need to be perfect in this functional way. And this kind of leads to what I want to talk to. There are these things in nature where things that are new, like animals don't like them because that means danger. And so that kind of fear of the unknown got us to where we are right now, but we're here. And so when we talk about perfectionism nowadays in the 21st century, what we're really talking about is something that needs to be overcome so that we can forge new ideas and build new relationships and new paradigms and new stuff, right? But we're only going to make these good things through an iterative, what a weird word, process. But first we need to identify what's really going on when somebody says, oh, I'm a perfectionist, or I struggle with perfectionism, or what they're talking about. They're talking about three things, and this is hard. They're talking about being cowardly, self-serving, and condescending. So let that sink in for a little bit. It took me a while to really recognize what was really going on. That I was sticking this thing up in front of me. I was hiding behind perfectionism, and I've seen so many people hide behind perfectionism so that you don't have to see me, so I don't have to be in a vulnerable situation, and I don't have to be brave. Being brave is scary, and being brave is hard. What we really need is for people, that's what I'm trying to do, to just peek behind that perfectionism and go, hey buddy, I know it seems scary, and yes, there are really horrible things that can happen if you're vulnerable. So make sure you pick the right places to be vulnerable. But it's just so cowardly to hide behind perfectionism and to be afraid of getting things messy and to only want to present yourself in a perfect way, which gets to the self-centeredness of it all. And the self-importance and importance-ness-ish, whatever words. I'm not trying to be perfect here. Okay? And there's an entitlement issue that happens as we're on our way to perfectionism. Because guess what? We had to travel there. Nobody's born a perfectionism. That's not a thing. No one's born a perfectionist. So what happens is that we feel entitled, and that comes with this sort of lack of appreciation and this lack of gratitude for what we already have that's perfect or good. And it just gets in our way because a good example of a perfectionist? It's a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old that thinks that they are entitled to certain things. I want it now. I want it my way. I want it da. That's part of this survival mechanism that's built into our brain that wants things the way we want to be happy and satisfied and live in perfection. That shit ain't real though, buddy. Like, it doesn't work like that. We don't get there by just deciding we're perfect. Just deciding, well, I'm a perfectionist, so I'm only going to do things that are perfect. Guess what happens to those people? They don't do anything. They do nothing. And if they do, they burn the fuck out because they're putting so much energy into perfectionism. And here's the other thing. Your high standards put other people down, and it's a catch-22. It's this weird circular fucking thing because you got perfectionism given to you. But people's ridiculously high standards in society, it happened with Photoshop in like the 90s and 2000s with unrealistic beauty. It's happening now. If you notice, I don't use jump cuts because I'm just completely against editing me being a person, because it sets these unrealistic standards for how people should communicate with each other. You're going to say, you're going to stumble over things. Let me see that so that I know that it's okay that I can do it, so I don't hold these high fucking unobtainable standards and stress myself out unnecessarily just because I didn't reach this made up thing that you use technology to achieve. It's ridiculous. And there's this line that I put in the song a while ago that I've been thinking about for years, which is behind every single victim of abuse is a perfectionist pulling on a noose. Think about that for a second. I think about that a lot because I've just seen so many, this happens a lot in kids with perfectionist parents, and they try to force that perfectionism and force feed it down there. You're just feeding them depression, by the way, and anxiety that comes with being a perfectionist. I will probably talk about this. I will probably have 40 more episodes that are what the helpish is perfectionism. But let me be very clear about how, this is my perspective. The show's called What the Helpish, right? It's the enemy. It gets in the way of making progress, of having a practice, of putting cool, good things out into the world. You can kind of afford to be a perfectionist once you've reached a certain spot. But if you tell me that you are a perfectionist and you don't have a giant body of work to show me how you've been on your journey to perfect, you need to shut the fuck up and get to work. You need to put in the work. That's the game here, okay? And listen, here's what happens, by the way, when you start to let go of it. You learn to experience things fully. And I don't mean like being in the now. I'm kind of not into that stuff, but I'm into experiencing things fully. But it doesn't have to be like the moment. You can experience the past, and you can experience the future and the present more fully when you let go of these stupid expectations and this stupid perfectionism. And growth happens exponentially when you realize that it's all about the process. You shouldn't be trying to build perfect work. You should be trying to build perfect systems. There's an area where you can be a perfectionist. Constantly iterating, by the way, is the only way you get there. Constant iteration requires you to start making terrible shit that's not perfect, that might make you look stupid and make you look talentless and make you look unworthy. That's a risk you have to take, because if you don't take that risk, you're never gonna get there. Okay? I just want you to think about that. I hope you have a badass day, and I love you. Check out joeyhelpish.com. You're a beautiful weirdo and a badass. Pieces.